You're listening to the Ask Drone U podcast. You ask, we answer your drone questions. Whether you're here to turn your passion into profit or you simply fly for fun, we're a community of learners and teachers who aspire to achieve greatness. We are
Drone U.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another energetic episode of Ask Drone U. My name is Paul.
My name's Rob. I certainly hope we're energetic. We're having a good time, and man, there's nothing better than just giving you guys the help you need to become better pilots, business people, whatever you need. We want to help you. So thank you for hanging with us.
In all honesty, it is a lot of fun. Really, there are these moments, Rob, when we're out at these flight mastery trainings and we're in person, we're flying with someone, and you see it click with somebody, and you see someone who, showed up to the training super nervous and really switch and have this confidence, like a fundamental core confidence. And, all the time I see advertisements about like, come here and we'll build your confidence to fly. But I'm not really sure how possible that is virtually, because in person, when you can show someone where to put their hands on the sticks, when you can show someone exactly how to get that perfect smooth tilt in a banking turn, it's a really amazing feeling. It's a really, really fun feeling. I know that the students feel amazing, but for me, those are the moments that fuel why I sit in this chair. I know you think it's because you're beautiful. It's not. It is because honestly, there's no greater joy than helping other people. And I know I talk a lot of crap on this show. That's because I got high standards. And maybe I got a little insecurity too that I need to work through, but that's neither here nor there. I really do like helping people. And that's actually why I'm really excited about today's show, Rob, because today's question, while it's been asked in various different ways, and we've gone over, kind of material like this before, it's really, really invigorating, because with the experience that we've had here at Drone U, almost 10 years now, and almost thousands of pilots that we've trained, after you do this for a while, there's a difference between someone who's experienced and professional experience, because you kind of develop these methodologies. And these methodologies, and why it's important for students, is because it really simplifies the nature of flying to make confidence building easier, but to also make pilots more intelligent and more capable. And that's why I'm excited for today's show, because this answer really couldn't come unless we had these things down pat. And that's, this is why we help people and go above and beyond flight school, is because we have been gifted, blessed with the ability to teach people what really matters, because we've done it. And that is a gift in itself. I'm so grateful for the fact that we can provide information at an nth degree that it can really, really help people. And I think this show is going to do it.
Well, but you got me psyched. I'm excited about that. No, but you're right. It is. We've said it over and over again that it's all based in experience, not mine, mind you. But nonetheless,
yeah, there's some.
We have surrounded our core here with just amazing people. Paul leading the way, and we love sharing that with you. So we get to talk a little bit about batteries today in that regard, and I'm excited about that. It makes me think. I've brought this up before, but think back to your, say, college experience. Maybe even high school experience, maybe coaching experience, meaning you were an athlete or whatever being coached. And it's always those that, generally speaking, either played the game, were in business, they were a doctor prior to being a teacher, whatever it is, that's generally who you learned the most from, at least in my experience. And I would imagine that's true for most of you as well. So anyways, that's what we try to do. And it's fun. It's a good time that we get to sit here, hang out, and know that there's at least a couple of you out there listening and learning.
Well, before we leave you with any more cliffhangers, let's go ahead and get to today's question, which is brought to you by, if you want to come experience the desert Southwest and you are ready to have some fun, you want to go flying, we've got an in-person flight mastery and operations class here at the end of June if you would like to join us. We've got some more trainings coming up. You can see all of those trainings at thedroneu.com. And for anyone asking, yes, I'll actually be teaching that one. I think we're going to have Kevin here with us as well. So very excited for that. But if you want to come, you want to really gain more confidence. You want to get that spatial awareness flight down. You want to feel great no matter where you fly, because not only that you have the knowledge, but the skill. And you want to learn why so many people require flight mastery for their pilots. You should come check it out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. The obstacle course in itself will teach you how to develop your skills through 12 sequential exercises, again, based from experience. And, you got to be wondering, if this training is so good, how come the NTSB requires it for their investigators? It's a solid question. Maybe not the best of questions, but it was a great made-up question that I just made up. So,
on that note.
Hey, Paul and Rob. This is Derek again from Ohio. Hey, I had a question for you guys today regarding my Phantom 4 Pro. So I was constantly losing GPS. As soon as I would take off, the GPS would immediately disconnect and switch into attitude mode. And the thing would act all crazy. I'd land it. I would get multiple errors, and it wasn't able to take off until I'd restart it. It was just a complete wreck. So I had been using an older battery with it, so I switched to another battery, which was a lot newer. And my problem was instantly solved. Like, it flew like it was supposed to. So my question is that something we need to watch out for with older batteries? Do they cause issues? Have you guys had any experience with this? When the battery reaches a certain number of flights, do we get rid of it? Any thoughts on this would be great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Derek. Appreciate the question. And just like Derek did, you can go to askdroneu.com and ask your question. We'd love to hear from you. I'll tell you this. We get quite a few people that reach out to our chat via our website, and which is great. We love helping people that way. But in most cases, we tell them that's a pretty involved answer, and you're going to need to send that into the podcast question bank. So please, if that's you, just send in the podcast question. I know there's been a few people that have said I'm a little too shy to put my voice out there. I understand, but if you want your question answered, you're going to have to suck it up or get one of your kids to call in the question. Figure something out, because we would love to answer it if you'll send it in to us. We are here for you, but not if you don't send your question in, because then we don't know who you are. Anyways, thank you for the question. AskDroneu.com. What you got?
I again, this is just such a beautiful opportunity because, in manned aviation, you do this thing pretty much before every single flight. And it's called an engine run-up test. We've talked about it here before. How do I say this? I'm looking for the right words here because I want to make sure that this comes off in the right tone. I'm just going to go for it here, Rob. That said, yes, we have seen issues when batteries do not provide full voltage levels, that various components and parts will not work as advertised. That is 100% a known quantity, especially as your aircraft ages over numerous years. You realize these things,
and that's exactly, it sounds like, with what he's dealing with. You're just simply put, the drone's not getting the power it needs to make everything work.
Not enough power, yeah. Just think of like a brownout at your house,
right?
And not that brownout, Rob. I mean power. So just to be clear, what I mean is like when the grid in California, this happened 9-10 times last year, where they essentially like lower the overall power to homes. To essentially allow for everything.
Throttle the power, essentially, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a good analogy kind of for what's going on. But what makes me so excited about answering this question is that, we have taught, I think, for 4 or 5 years now, 3 rules of takeoff. And what I love is that these rules have helped so many people. And what I love is this is a perfect example of the drone U difference. If you pay attention, you can figure everything out from everyone very quickly. This is a perfect example. That said, the third rule of takeoff, we have always discussed the importance of conducting a battery test. Just like an engine run-up for a manned aircraft. It is the only ultimate means of testing your propensity to have a safe flight. I mean, seriously. And when we do this battery test, we're not looking at battery percentage. We're not looking at graphs. We're not looking at pretty pictures. We're looking for very specific numbers. And if we hit certain numbers, we can actually determine the overall lifespan of the battery based off of an exact number, a voltage number per cell. So for example, there is a number that we tell everyone, and if you're a Drone U member, you know what that number is. If you're not a Drone U member, I invite you to the Don't Crash course, Operations, Flight Over Water, Advanced Aerial Videography, Advanced Aerial Photography, or many other courses that also include the rules of landing and takeoff, because repetition, easier to learn that way, as Mr. Kiyosaki would say. That said, when we hit 3.9 volts, which is not the magic number for a safe flight, by the way, that's not what we're looking for. It's a different number. But when we hit 3.9 volts, when we actually conduct the battery test, which is done in a very specific way, you have to fly in a very specific manner, and you have to do this test in a very specific way. When you hit 3.9 volts, it's almost guaranteed that you only have 20 or 30 cycles left on that battery. I mean, the battery test is not only good for helping pilots understand the health of the flight, but also understanding the overall endurance of the battery and what's really left, right? There's no indicator on these batteries that says, we're about 75% of our lifespan, right? You know, unless you're, I forget Andrew Baker, unless you're Andrew Baker and you write down battery detail for every battery you've ever owned over the life of your drone career, and then run a regression analysis to determine the average number of cycles per battery, you will notice two things.
Has he published that work?
No, but he should.
He definitely should.
But one of the things that you'll notice is that the amount of cycles that we get out of our batteries has increased over time. So that's good. We're actually getting more for our money. But the drop off, if I remember correctly, and Andrew, if I said this wrong, please correct me, but the drop off has gotten more severe, right? So once it drops off, it really drops off the battery. That said, 3.9 volts on the battery test, you know right away, okay, this battery is kind of towards the end of life. I've used probably 75% of the battery life, and I know exactly what to expect. So that said, honestly, I really, Rob, it's the emotion right now is gratitude, because there's no way that we could help people unless we have flown thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of flights. If we didn't have thousands of flight hours to be able to help these people, we could not provide them with specific answers that provide not only answers to their questions, but more macro intelligence for those pilots to be safer. And I will say, Drone U members, you don't want to be the guy that's been to Flight Mastery and is not doing the engine run-up test, or the battery test, and then you have a battery failure. I will actually never forget one of the NYPD officers that we trained out in New York. Remember, he blew through 3 brand new batteries. He literally did the battery test and he hit that magic number each time on these brand new batteries. And he's like, Paul, is the magic number really, XYZ? And yeah, he's like, I just bought these batteries and I'm hitting that voltage number right now. I was like, no way. So I powered cycled his drone, took off, did the battery test. Sure enough, battery failed the test.
Brand new batteries,
right? Well, they're aftermarket, right? We've told you, all of you many times, stay away from aftermarket batteries. That said, it was astounding because, he was like, no, I'm just going to try one of these batteries and see what I can get out of it. And I mean, he flew it for 5 minutes and he had a voltage error, and then, whoa! It started coming down, Luckily, it was controlled. Everything was fine. He was fine, but we had lunch that day and he's like, I cannot believe how well that battery test works and how you literally saved me from a catastrophic accident today. And we're only halfway through the class. And that made me feel good, and I want all of you to know these rules that we've come up with, the rules of takeoff and landing that we've put out in a lot of our online courses, they work. They are born and bred from experience to ensure that the information that you're given is accurate, is experienced, and is battle tested and time tested. That said, that's why I'm grateful, because we can answer this question and be like, whoop, there it is.
So in terms of, yeah, I mean, I guess you are answering his question as in terms of when do you get rid of a battery? Because if you're running that test each time you fly, that's going to be your answer.
Exactly, because there's no solid answer to me sitting here and saying you can get 50 to 100 cycles. That doesn't really help.
Not unless you're Andrew and you've got it down to an algorithm.
Well, and that algorithm also includes that you're flying every week, you're deep cycling every 10 flights. You know, you're following the system, right?
Yeah.
So lots of caveats and variables in that.
Sure.
So I don't want to. So I don't want to sit here and say, look, 37 cycles and you'll be fine. No, you've got to have, just like, you've got a gas tank and you've got a fuel gauge, or it's so funny, I almost said fuel indicator. That's how I lived in Europe. But a fuel indicator to show how much fuel you have. Well, the indicators of battery that we have on these drones, it works great when the batteries are brand new or maybe even a few months old. But as soon as you go past 3 months, those indicators don't work. They don't account for environment. They don't account for wind. They don't account for altitude. They don't account for amperage draw. Like, there's a lot that they don't account for. And so unless you know the true way to test these batteries and have that fuel gauge for your batteries, you're going to wind up in trouble sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm glad he was able to solve that relatively easily in terms of just putting a new battery in and it fixed everything essentially. So now he knows how to kind of keep track of those batteries progression sooner.
True. And I will say, in fact, none of these batteries have labels on them. But if you pull up the Phantom, or it's not here, the Enterprise Dual, in our props course, we teach about battery labeling, and we get really specific because we teach in the props course. And remember, Drone U teaches pilots, props teaches teams. It's that simple. In the way that we label our batteries, it's what was the drone that we bought it with. So for example, Mavic 2 Enterprise Dual Advanced, and then I normally write B and then a sequence number. So B1, B2, whichever battery it was in the sequence in which we got it. And then you end it with the date that you got the battery, the month and the year that you got the battery. Because whether it's kind of like an oil change, where they say 3,000 miles or 3 years, anyone who waits 3 years to get an oil change, your car's not going to last. I'm just going to tell you right now. But it's kind of the same analogy for our batteries, right? So
for sure.
Anyway, I think that answers the question.
I think so. If not, as we always say, follow-up questions are welcome.
For sure. Anyway, thank you all. Thank you very much. We really appreciate you. We appreciate all the members. We appreciate your support, and we appreciate when you pay it forward, and we appreciate the opportunity to help. So like Rob said, send in those questions, and very excited because the new community, the app, is just waiting on my video. We're ready to go this week. Rob's like, why didn't you do it today?
Well, I guess I am supposed to get you an outline, and I haven't done that either. So.
It's okay, Rob. We're a team. We're humans, and we're not perfect.
Far from it.
On that bombshell, that's going to do it for us today. My name is Paul.
I'm Rob.